Thanks, Michael. Okay, so I'm really excited to be here today, and today we're going to be talking about our goal setting, and I imagine lots of you would have been to goal setting workshops in the past or learnt a lot about goal setting over the years in business. Today what we want to do is share with you some tips about helping you to kickstart the year to make 2021 even better than 2020, and after the 2020 we had, hopefully it's not going to be that difficult for people. So I'm going to share with you about the 4 stages of goal setting, and rather than go into detail in every area, there's some areas I'm going to cover a little bit more deeply than others. So I'm going to talk about the why of goal setting, which is a very obvious and important thing for us all to focus on. Then very briefly about what our goals are, having a think about that. Then the most important area for me that I'm going to be focusing on with you today is having a look at who you need to be to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. Because if we're not being the version of ourselves that's going to take us to those goals, there's no point in having awesome goals to work toward. And then very briefly at the end, I'm going to talk about the structure of that. And then when I finish talking about goal setting, Andrew's then going to take over and talk a little bit more about the next steps and leading your team through those goals. So first I'd like to start with the why, and think about the why you're in business. If you think to yourself, hands up in the room, how many people own their own small businesses or own their own businesses? How many people in the room work in small to medium businesses? They're not business owners but work in small to medium businesses. Hands up in the room, people that work for larger corporations. Okay, what I'd like you to do now is just share very quickly in your table, what is it that led to you to be in the job you're in now, whether you're the business owner that started the business or it's your career path choice. Just share with a couple of people around the table why it is that you've chosen to do what it is that you're doing right now. So go to share with each other. All right, hands up if there were people at your table who have chosen the path they've chosen because they wanted more flexibility in their life and wanted to be able to make decisions for themselves. A couple of people wanted more flexibility. Hands up if people at your table said they want to earn lots more money. Hands up if there were people at your table that had another reason altogether that we haven't mentioned yet. What was the reason at your table that came up?
Job loss, redundancy.
Redundancy, there you go. Well, that's a good motivator to get you to change your path.
We had a good one over here, Liz.
Yeah.
What was that, Shane? There's a bus, let me throw you under it.
Thank you very much. Well, I think it's at the core of any small business owner. We simply don't like being told what to do.
Hands up if that's you. It's great to have friends to throw you under the bus, isn't it? So there's lots of reasons why we go into the career paths and businesses that we do. And I'd like to take a moment to share with you a little bit about my why. All right, so for me, when I first started in my career or in my life, I took on a lot of leadership roles. And one job in particular, I was fairly new in the role and a leadership opportunity came up. And I was a bit frustrated with a few things that were happening in the environment, so I put my hand up to take the leadership role because I'm not a very patient person, and when I can see what I think will make a big difference, I like to jump in and see what I can do to help make that difference. So when I started in this leadership role, I had a team of 6 staff. Most of the staff were twice my age and had loads more experience in the industry than what I had. And man, I made so many mistakes. I really did make lots of mistakes as a leader. There were days when I thought, what am I doing? Am I good enough? I shouldn't be here. I don't deserve this role. There's probably someone else here that could do it better than me. But for me, the belief that I knew where we could go and what we could achieve kept me going and kept me inspired. So when I did make mistakes, which was pretty regular, I am very good at making mistakes. But making mistakes, the more regularly I made them, the more I realised I was developing a lot of resilience and learning from them. So it was actually a fantastic thing for me early in my career to learn that making mistakes is the way to project yourself forward and propel forward. So making all these mistakes became such a big part of such a big part of what I was doing. And things just kept growing and getting better and better. And the team kept growing and growing. Over time, we grew to 95 staff. And I had a fantastic executive team that I pulled together to lead all the teams that I was supporting. So we ended up growing across lots of different sites with people supporting each of those sites. And the team members just absolutely thrived. It was really quite amazing what we were able to achieve all together by having a clear vision and goal for everybody and for us all to be rowing the boat in the same direction, where people learnt how they could be creative and collaborative with one another to create their own path moving forward. But like I said, I did make a lot of mistakes, and I thought being a leader meant I had to work my butt off. I had to show that I was working really hard. I had to put in really long hours, and I had to be constantly there to help people and be really responsive when people needed me and help them do their work. And that was a lesson that I was really slow in learning. So throughout my path, I kept making the mistake of wearing myself out, helping everybody do everything. It wasn't until I finally learnt the lesson, which took a lot of repetition. I'm a bit of a slow learner. The repetition, finally it kicked in that what I needed to do was inspire them to know that they had everything they needed and that I trusted them to have a go and fail forward in the same way that I was failing forward. So it was actually when I became more vulnerable and accepting of myself and my own flaws that my team were able to thrive because I could then support them more effectively. So as I built my emotional intelligence, that was able to happen. So over time, the team grew and grew, and we ended up doing so well that we had people from overseas coming to spend time with us, and we were training them on how to do what we were doing. We were really getting a reputation. And one of the best things that happened to me in my career was having a group of my team. We inspired them to go out and put submissions in to do present papers at an international conference. And in the beginning, they were like, there's no way people are interested in hearing what we're doing. And I'm saying, it's next level. You really need to get it out there. And one of the best things was the day that everyone's conference papers got accepted. Every single member of the team that put a conference paper on had them accepted. And then to see the team members present their papers at the conference was the best thing ever. To see my team members just so thrilled at themselves and what they achieved, I realised in that moment, seeing them and the joy they felt for themselves and the hard work they put through, pushing through their boundaries to be able to do something beyond what they thought was possible, I knew then that that's what I was meant to be doing. And all the work I'd done and all the learning I had put in, learning how to coach and support and inspire my leadership teams to lead their teams, all culminated in that moment for me. It was the highlight of that career path for me. However, something funny happened after that. I started to get really bored because I kind of felt like I hit a glass ceiling, and we kept winning awards, we kept presenting at conferences, everything we ever did was always accepted because it was so cutting edge and next level. But it was same thing, different day for me. It was nothing new. And the more I started to go through my role, I realised that the values of the organisation were no longer in a match with my values. So the vision that I had put out there for my team wasn't really the vision that the organisation was living anymore. So the KPIs that were being put down for me to lead my team with weren't the KPIs that we were working toward anymore. And I found myself really second guessing and thinking, I can't sell that to my team. I don't believe in that myself. So I spent a lot more time with my coach working through how challenged I felt about that because I just didn't want to be selling this to my team. I didn't believe in it. And it just didn't sit right with me. And so I came to the really difficult decision to completely leave and change my career path. And when I was working with my coach and finding out what it was that really made me happy and excited to go to work, it was that feeling of knowing that I'd inspired my team to work beyond the level that they thought they could, working beyond that edge of possibilities that they thought was possible. And that's how I came to be Edge of Possibilities, stepping into what I absolutely love, the thing that really drives me and gets me excited to get out of bed in the morning. And my why is knowing the difference it makes in people's lives to be able to have this experience of the feeling, knowing the feeling that we have of the joy and the pride when we go beyond what we think we can do. I'd be selfish not to do this job. There's no way I couldn't get out of bed and do this every day. How dare I think that I could keep that to myself and not share it with other people, because what I do gives people that opportunity to experience those freaking amazing emotions. And who wouldn't want to feel that? So that's my why and why I do have my business Edge of Possibilities. And I encourage everyone after today to really think about what your why is in your business and in your career, because it's really important that you're doing something that really matters to you. That's what drives us to jump out of bed in the morning. And when you have a hard day, it's that thing to focus on that keeps you going. I love this quote, "He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how." Having a why is the key. And the why is the thing that, the first thing when you wake up in the morning and think about going off to do what you do for the day, connecting with that why is what drives you to keep everything going. So the why is super important. The next thing is actually setting a goal and setting goals for yourself and for the business. And we've all looked at SMART goals before, so we know how important it is that our goals are very specific, they're measurable, that they're actually achievable things that we could do, that they're realistic things, and that we've got a time frame on them. It's really key that all of our goals look like that. Too often though, our goals look like this, where there's no specific target, and if you don't have a target, you can't hit it. Sometimes we choose not to have a target because it's safer and easier. We prefer to just keep doing what we've always done because we know how to do that. The trouble is, if you don't have a target, you can't hit it. You need something really clear to focus on. When you think about your goals for yourself, your life and your business, how many of you have a goal worksheet that looks like this, a blank sheet of paper? It's so common, so don't feel bad if it's you, because this is so common. And how do you know what it is that you're driving toward if that's what your goals look like? How do your team know what they're working toward if this is what your goals look like? It's so crucial that we have our goals written down and that we're really clear about them. Often we find ourselves being stuck like this, in a box where we're doing the same thing we've always done, getting the same results we've always gotten, because this is our comfort zone. This is as far as we're comfortable to push ourselves, and this is where we have safety and security. We all have this in our lives. We all have those times where we stay stuck here because we're feeling like it's just easier to stay here. The trouble is, when we're here, we often are thinking about what we could be and how our life could be, and we're not quite getting there. And there's a saying, if you're stuck in your head, you're dead. So in life, we're either green and growing or we're ripe and rotting. Stuck in the box doing what we've always done is ripe and rotting. There's no such thing in life as staying stagnant. So if you're always doing the same thing and getting the same results, you can predict your turnover, you know the size of your team, and we're just going to keep doing what we've always done because it's working all right with us, that's actually rotting because there's no growth happening. So it's about opening your mindset to get out of your head and looking at your ego. So our ego is the thing that can be really healthy or unhealthy. And there's two ends of an unhealthy ego. So we can be completely self-serving, where our ego is focusing on it's all about us and looking after ourselves. Or it could be unhealthy in that we're sacrificing ourselves for other people all the time. So both of those demonstrate an unhealthy ego. We want to try and get somewhere in the middle. And a really good way to explain what a healthy ego looks like is looking at this little model here. Often we get stuck in child, where it's all about me, what's in it for me, I don't have time, what can I get out of this? So when we're in child mode, they're the kinds of things we hear ourselves saying, and we all do this from time to time. Or we might be in parent mode, where we're worried about what everyone else is thinking. We've got that little green monster on our shoulder worrying about what the competition's doing, what kinds of things the competition are offering, worrying about what everybody else thinks all the time in parent mode. And if we're in a leadership role in parent mode, we're always looking at the gaps, not about the achievements. So we notice in our team members what they're not doing, and we're telling them exactly how to do it because we know how it needs to be done, and we're really specific about them doing it our way, so we end up micromanaging. What we want to do is be here in adult mode at the top, which is above the line thinking versus below the line thinking. You've probably all heard of that before. So in above the line thinking in adult mode, we're focusing all the time on what's good for me, what's good for others, and what's good for the greater good. So in adult mode, we keep bringing ourselves back up to look at the big picture and having a conscious awareness of how everything fits together and who we need to be to get the results that we want for our team, how we need to do that with them. So when we're looking at this from the adult mode, we're really clear about the mission of our business. So we really know what our business is about, what the key products and services are, and we also are super clear about who our ideal clients are. And we don't care who other people's ideal clients are because we know what we're good at and we know the best people for us to serve. So that's in adult mode. Our mission is very, very clear and we're not worried about what other people are doing. Then we have our vision, and having a clear vision is so key because that means that our teams also know what it is that we're working toward. The vision takes you toward that why. Then we have the values of the business. And if you think about values in your business as emotions that you want to experience on a regular basis, then values become a really fun thing to work with your team on. What do we want to be about in our office space or in our workspace? What kind of values do we want to live? What experiences do we want to have all the time? It's a great activity to do with your team. So then we want to think about with who is the version of ourselves that we need to be to get to the results that we want to have. Because if we're not focusing on the who, then we're never going to achieve the goals in the way that we could. So when you think about the who, I want everyone to think about what are the things you need to stop doing right now. As the minute you walk out the door today, what is it you're not going to do anymore because it doesn't serve you? It's not bringing you into adult mode, being the best version of you. What are you going to start doing that you weren't doing before that will help you get further on your journey, take leaps and help you work smarter rather than harder? What are you going to keep doing that's working really well and acknowledge yourself for? How often do we acknowledge ourselves and say, gee, I'm really good at that, I need to keep doing more of that? So there's things that we all can continue doing, and there's some things we need to continue doing that we might change it up a little bit to make it even smarter than what we're already doing. So, and we want to be thinking about, though, when we become this version of ourselves that's brave and stepping over the edge of possibilities, be ready for that. We need to have a lot of bravery to take the leap, but gosh, it's worth it. Because see the fish in the pond on his own, he gets to set the environment completely for himself. He gets to create his own world exactly how he wants it, rather than being stuck in the humdrum of what everyone else is doing. So the fish that's out on his own gets to drive everything in the way that he believes it should be. And then we've got the structure. So the structure of how we pull it together is the way that we put together our daily habits and practices. So we want to look at the structure of our goal, have a look at what our long-term goal is, break it back down into the parts of the year. So we call that reverse engineering your goal. So looking at what it looks like when you've achieved it and then pulling it in half and then looking at for half the year, this is what we're going to do. So 3/4 of the year, third quarter of the year we need to have this done, and then bring it back further to the first quarter of the year, and then chunking that down to the daily habits that you have. So a great tip for that one is if you've ever downloaded a 168 planner, just to plot in there exactly what you do need to do in your day. So if you've got time with your kids, going to the gym, a daily morning ritual, routine, if you put all of those things in a 168, you can then see how little time you've got left, and it helps you understand that it's so important that you work smarter rather than harder to get through your day. So have a think about the daily habits and rituals that you currently experience, and if they're bringing you closer to being adults or if they're keeping you stuck in the box in child and parent. And I love this quote by Lewis Carroll. This is just a part of the quote. In the end, we only regret the chances we didn't take. So it's so important for us to take the chances, step out of our comfort zone and step up into adult, because when we live at the edge of possibilities, that's where anything, absolutely anything is possible, and we're all capable of so much more than who we're being right now. Thank you.